there is some massive news that xAI, of course, led by Elon Musk, a spinoff kind of X.com. I mean, it's using a lot of the same data, or previously Twitter, is raising $6 billion. And the crazy thing here is that they're raising this. There's a bunch of people saying a bunch of different valuations. Some are saying it's an $18 billion valuation. Others are saying, I've seen quotes like $130 billion. So I'm not really sure like where it actually settles, because a lot of this is like rumors. But obviously, they're raising $6 billion. This is massive news. Connor, what are you hearing about this?
Yeah, this is wild, right? I mean, Elon he's like the Terminator. Do you know what I mean? Like the guy just keeps coming back. And anybody that underestimates Elon, whatever you think about him, I mean, do so at your peril. So, so what I was seeing on this is kind of the same thing. I mean, like that he's just raising about $6 billion, I think mostly from Sequoia, but that kind of, and pre that it was, I think, an $18 billion valuation. So it looks like post investment, it would be around a $24 billion dollar valuation. And the interesting thing to me was that, the rumors earlier on, I think in the month, was that it was going to be lower than this. It was going to be sort of raising something like $3 or $4 billion or something like that at I think it was like a 15 billion valuation. But there was just so much interest from investors. And I mean, I'm getting this sense that, Jaden, you're in this world. I mean, you're raising a ton for AI box and things like that. Like it's like there is just so much hunger for this, especially at the very, very top, right? I mean, so
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
I mean, it's, again, with these huge investors coming in with this, I think they just don't want to get left out. And I think that when we see how sort of like the shifting sands, I mean, they're all strong, right? But you have your OpenAI, you have your Anthropic, you have your Meta, you have your, you have a Grok essentially, or xAI. They're all strong. But then all of a sudden, Inflection had the rug pulled out from under it. And that was like valued at whatever, I mean, $4 billion or whatever. So I guess it seems like investors may be just hedging here, but I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at it too simplistically.
No, I think there's a bunch of interesting things. First of all, like you mentioned, according to their family office, I think Jared, who runs that, if I'm not mistaken, they were gonna be raising $3 billion, and I think at like a $16 billion valuation, got bumped to a $18 billion valuation, raising $6 billion. So roughly 25% of the company is what they would be giving up, about a quarter of the company, which doesn't seem to bother Elon too much. From what I've seen, like they've open sourced Grok. So it seems like really his idea is just to it feels like it's kind of like a get back at OpenAI kind of thing, where he's like, look, they didn't actually open source it like they said they were going to open source it. So, we want to essentially make this thing open source. There's a couple reasons why I think this company is able to raise $6 billion. This is enormous, right? Like, if you really think about it, when OpenAI raised $10 billion from Microsoft, that was like eye-watering. That was like insane. And they gave up 50% of the company. So that was like, a $20 billion valuation. Like, Elon is literally going and looking for roughly the same valuation, $18 billion that OpenAI had when they did this big deal. Now, the question is why would investors give him $6 billion for this? Why would his valuation be so similar when OpenAI evidently had just released ChatGPT and changed the name of the game, the space forever? And Grok is impressive, or it's like a useful tool, but is it really that level? Why would he be getting that much money? So I think that he's got a couple things going for him. Number one is the data set. He has a unique data set nobody else has. He can completely lock down Twitter. He's locked down Twitter's API. He has that data set. It'd be the equivalent of if Reddit, who right now is selling their data for, I think they did a $50 million deal selling it to Google for their LLMs. But it'd be like if Reddit had a rock star, and when I say rock star CEO, obviously the CEO of Reddit is a rock star, but Elon has made more money, so he's made way bigger companies. So if you had that, plus you have all of this custom data, plus you have an impressive like user base of the product, and Elon could pretty much force that because he just added a little tab onto Twitter that's Grok, and then people are able to use it. So he's got that all built in, and there's even monetization because he could say, look, like you only get Grok if you're a premium user. So technically all the users of Grok were premium users paying $20 a month. So, and it's kind of just packaged in. But anyways, I think this is really impressive because he's got kind of all these things going for him, and this is the reason why he's able to raise this kind of money.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, I guess I'm just sort of still trying to figure out like where he takes it. I think Elon, and I'm not trying to get into anybody's pocketbook here, but like he just seems to have an interesting relationship with money. Do you know what I mean? Like where it's like he just doesn't care, which is a kind of really cool in a way, right? But I don't know how his investors always feel about that, but especially in this case, like where's he taking it? Do you know what I mean? Like I hear what you're saying about like the data set, and I think that's super valuable. I mean, I am wondering if how much sort of synthetic data will be used in the future, and whether, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of evidence that says synthetic data is actually pretty outstanding too, and these machines can essentially create tons of synthetic data too. So I do agree that this is an ongoing data set, and it's also phenomenal. But like, yeah, like if it's open sourcing, like where, I mean, I guess people will pay a premium, but that's not that much, right? I mean, like the premium, I don't know, it's like maybe $7 a user. I don't know if many people are doing that or not, and I don't think that they're doing it for Grok. So that kind of confuses me. It's sort of the same thing about Meta and the way that they're open sourcing. But at least with Meta, I can sort of see them, when they're building it into WhatsApp and Instagram and and even Facebook and things like that. I guess I can see them kind of like holding people on those platforms in a different way, especially if we are going into, and I don't want to kind of veer way off here, but like, I think places like Character AI and places like that really have it figured out. Like, I think that this is going to be the future of people, interacting with, artificial friends and relationships and things like that. And if Meta can do that really, really well, which everything is showing that they are, and it's built into your social media, you know what I mean? Like a place where you're already interacting, that I see huge monetization strategies there. With Grok, I just don't really see it, or I don't know it. I guess I'm just trying to figure out like okay, so OpenAI.
I think I figured it out.
Yeah, go. I'm listening.
Okay. This is my theory, and when I say theory, I'm like, this is probably what's going on. Grok and xAI, like, yeah, they're cool, fun little tools to have on your phone. And so, like, that's kind of what OpenAI sold, was like, hey, we got, like, this fun little thing on your phone or in your desktop. It answers questions. It's useful, right? It's totally useful, like OpenAI's ChatGPT. Grok is going to be different. While they have that, I think their money is going to be made in partnering with Tesla's Optimus robot. Grok, in my opinion, is going to be what runs the Optimus robot. So there's going to be a licensing deal because Optimus is being developed by Tesla. So there'll be a licensing deal where there is guaranteed money. This thing, it's interesting because when you talk about new tech hardware, the Humane pin got a lot of criticism because people were like, oh, like, we don't think it's better than a phone, right? Okay, so just regardless of your opinion, that's people's criticism of it. The Apple headset that is now getting like drastically slashed, it was really expensive, and people said like, it didn't do like that much. It's like cool technology, but it didn't do that much more than I wasn't already able to do with my phone, or like it's kind of too cumbersome to wear this thing. Okay, so hardware is difficult and breaking in is difficult. You cannot tell me, no one can tell me that a humanoid robot with AI embedded that can do all my tasks for me is not going to be a popular device. I think this thing is going to sell like hotcakes. If they can nail that, like, if they can nail it, which, okay, to be fair, their background, they nailed an electric car that everyone said was impossible for 20 years. Like, love Elon or hate Elon, without him, like, without Tesla, the electric car industry would not exist today. And even to some point, all of the OEM car manufacturers are saying that they're going to shut off their electric cars and just do hybrids in, like, backtracking from previous because their sales aren't good and it's tough, whatever. Yeah. So Tesla did something massive, and they scaled. They have a real piece of hardware that, doesn't have insane glitches. So I think they're going to be able to pull off the robot. And if they pull off the robot, Grok gets in the robot. Grok's going to have a licensing deal, which is going to be insane. Investors want in. This is going to be potentially insane market potential, I think. Like, I think
you've sold me on this. And so, and Like that was incredibly efficient in how you did that. First of all, I love the Jadenism of I have a theory, which means it's true. It's like this is going to be my like new thing. But I think you're actually absolutely right here. And the reason I'm sort of like using the Apple analogy where, you know, I keep thinking like, what is Apple doing licensing or potentially licensing Google to run, you know, whatever Siri and things like that. We talked about this, I think, on this podcast. I'm thinking like, my gosh, Apple, come on. Like you don't need to have that great an LLM, right? I mean, like LLMs, like even when you have 3.5 going, GPT 3.5 or something like that, it's actually not that bad for what a lot of people do. Yes, we're all sort of like stalking which one is the best one, all that kind of stuff. But like if you just have like a really competent one, which by all sort of measures, Grok seems to be, you're right that they can use it. They won't have to outsource it to somebody else because the brain in that robot is going to be way better. And I think that's absolutely right, which is why Apple, I think, is now coming out with all this stuff too. Like the Apple, I think it's not that they've realized like, oh, they listened to the AI Apply podcast and now they get it. But it's one of these things where you have to own your supply chain essentially. And that LLM is going to be the huge supply chain. You have to keep up because if people are getting used to a GPT-5 or a Claude, you know, whatever, 3.5 or whatever it's going to be, that's going to be sort of, you know, anything else is going to feel weak and kind of lame. So they have to keep up, but it doesn't have to be the top. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. And I think in Apple's case, they're making a smart move by building it in-house because as we've seen, you can have these PR issues from an AI model where it can go way off the rails. And you would hate to, for example, everyone say, we're canceling Gemini because it's like racist pretty much. Right. And so like, we don't want to use this thing. And then Apple's like, well, that's the only model in our phone. Then people are like, right. Okay, right. like how do you rip that out? You know, like how do you separate that? And so I think that at the end of the day, if Apple's got to do it like now to get a leg up, that's fine. But like they're going to build their own AI models. There's no way they're not going to. They have the capability. They have the talent. We're starting to see them build some stuff in the space. So in my opinion, it's all going to get built. But you really do want to own that supply chain. And so Tesla, Optimus, it's so interesting because Elon's companies are all kind of just like merging together where actually every single one of his companies are merging together. So think about this with the Optimus robot. Optimus is getting built by Tesla for the hardware, whatever. That's fantastic. The AI in it is going to get built by xAI's Grok. Okay, that's cool. The data sets to train xAI's Grok is going to be relying on Twitter for like a really unique custom data set that is actually like good on a lot of levels. Okay, cool. Tesla's, then the Optimus robot is going to need to stay connected to the internet where it's going everywhere. Yeah, it's going to be Starlink beaming down from SpaceX. So he's pretty much has like all of his infrastructure from all of his companies to create this one super device that you can't tell me any other single company has that lineup where they could pull that off. It's crazy.
An epiphany here. I've had an epiphany. I have a better analogy than Starlink. You know what he's making? I'll tell you what he's making. He's making Transformers. Like, think about it. You know what I mean? Like, he hired Tesla. He has, like, now Optimus. He has a robotic company. He has, like, the brothers. He even has Twitter for, like, the snarky comments, like, before. Like, I'm telling you, like, we're joking, but, like, I totally agree. Elon is going to take over the planet.
It's crazy. So anyways, I think this is amazing. It's going to be interesting to see if this deal solidifies what happens here. Obviously, Elon and money has been quite complicated as of the last year. So yeah, it'll be definitely interesting to see where this goes. If you learned anything from the podcast today, from all of Connor's incredible epiphanies, we would love it if you could rate the podcast, leave us a review wherever you get them, and make sure to drop us a comment. We read them. We appreciate them. We hope that you all have an amazing rest of your day.